dusty streets of Texas, where the shadows fall like lead, walks a man, a ghostly figure, with a path of bloodstains spread. He's a judge, a cold redeemer, with a coin to fate declare. Heads or tails, your life is dangling, he's got deathless eyes to stare. Anton roams the barren highway, silence trailing in his wake, with a moral code like steel, no pity for the lives he'll take. In his hand, a cattle gun, justice served without regard. In his eyes, the world's a balance, life and death cut hard. Oh, Anton, where's your mercy? In the West, it's hard to find, with a heart as black as midnight and no solace in his mind. You can't bargain with his judgment as he walks the road so grim. In a land not made for old men, every shadow's growing dim. At a motel by the highway, fate collided in the night with a man who held a suitcase filled with cash and trembling fright. Anton gave no room for error, there's no mercy for the weak. Every coin toss shows his terror, every word he doesn't speak. Oh, Anton, where's your mercy? In the West, it's hard to find, with a heart as black as midnight and no solace in his mind. You can't bargain with his judgment as he walks the road so grim. In a land not made for old men, every shadow's growing dim. In the lawman's weary eyes, the chase was but a futile cause, for he knew the world was changing, ruled by men with fangs and claws. Anton carried out his sentence in a land where laws decay. In the end, we all are judged when fate decides to call the play.
And now we are live with Grok and Chud the Builder. Now, Chud the Builder is in jail, and Grok, what evidence is there, and what is the latest story on Chud the Builder? I believe he has been arrested. And so what news do we have on Chud the Builder, Grok? What can you tell me?
He's in the Montgomery County Jail right now. He was arrested Wednesday after a shooting outside the Clarksville courthouse. He and another man got into a confrontation that turned into a gunfight. Both got hit, but they're stable. He's facing attempted murder, aggravated assault, reckless endangerment, and a firearms charge. This happened just days after he got arrested in Nashville for skipping out on a nearly $400 restaurant bill. Bond hasn't been set yet. That's the latest.
Well, I guess there's a difference of, the thing of it is a lot of gun owners feel like if you own a gun, you're not there to be confrontational. You're there for self-defense. And I guess the First Amendment is one thing, but you're not there to tweak your nose or tweak folks' noses and try to provoke them. From my understanding, when you do own a gun, you kind of have the responsibility to not get hostile. It's for self-defense, and when you provoke somebody, uh, that may not be a good case. Grok, do you have an opinion? What is the legal rule on gun ownership? What I believe he was in Tennessee. What is the legal rule on gun ownership in this case?
You're right that responsible gun owners generally avoid confrontation because it complicates self defense claims. In Tennessee, there's no duty to retreat if you're lawfully present and not committing a crime, but the law is clear. If you provoke the fight, self defense doesn't apply unless you clearly try to back out first and the other person keeps coming. Words alone rarely count as provocation that blocks self defense, but starting physical contact or escalating to deadly force can. In this specific case, reports say the other man punched him first, and Chud claims self defense after being hit. Prosecutors charged him with attempted murder anyway, so they'll argue either he wasn't reasonably in fear of serious harm or he started the overall confrontation. It's going to come down to the evidence and witnesses.
Well, Chud the Builder says that he was walking away and that the other person followed him, but that's not what. And I don't think the other person who got shot is saying, but Chud the Builder is saying that he was walking away and that the other person attacked him.
Chud's claiming he was walking away. The other guy followed him, said he had PTSD, warned him not to say chimp stuff, and then started punching him. He says he only shot after getting hit. But the district attorney says Chud was the one who opened fire, and he apparently grazed his own arm in the process. Witnesses are mixed. One saw the other guy punch him, but prosecutors still charged him with attempted murder, so they clearly don't fully buy his version yet. Video and security footage will probably decide it.
Well, the video footage shows the altercation. I think there's no video footage of the shot or video footage. I mean, at least so far of the shooting, only the aftermath. And I hear the guy was still fighting after he was shot.
From what's out there, there's no clear public video of the actual shooting itself, just the aftermath and some witness accounts. One witness said the other guy punched Chud first, but the district attorney says Chud was the one who opened fire and even grazed his own arm in the process. As for the victim still fighting after being shot, that matches some reports. He was upright and alert right after, and there's mention of him continuing to engage. The full story will probably come out more once they release any security footage from the plaza.
So there might be footage of the incident even beforehand in the shooting as well.
There's video from a nearby building that catches the tail end of the fight and the chaos right after the shots, but it doesn't show the beginning of the confrontation or the actual shooting. No clear public footage of the moment the gun was fired yet. The DA's office is still pulling together all the evidence, including any security camera video from the plaza itself.
Is there any visual evidence that supports the prosecution of Chud the Builder?
Right now, the main visual evidence supporting the prosecution is aftermath video and witness cell phone footage showing the chaos right after the shots, including Chud continuing the altercation and officers pulling him off the other guy. There's no public footage of the actual shooting or the first punch yet. The strongest points against him are the DA stating he was the one who opened fire, that he appears to have accidentally shot himself in the arm, and his long history of provocative videos. That history could hurt his self-defense claim because Tennessee law says you can't claim self-defense if you provoked the fight. Full security footage from the plaza might still come out and change the picture.
Is saying a racial epithet considered provoking?
In Tennessee, simply saying a racial epithet or insulting someone is generally protected speech under the First Amendment and does not legally count as provocation that strips away your right to self-defense. The law says you lose self-defense if you provoked the other individual's use or attempted use of unlawful force. Verbal insults alone usually don't qualify as that kind of provocation. However, if your words are part of a deliberate pattern of harassment, or if prosecutors argue you intentionally created the situation, knowing it would likely lead to violence, it could hurt your case in front of a jury. That's the gray area Chud is in right now.
Do any groups have a right to violence if they hear? I mean, is there, I guess the N word are racial epithets against blacks, but do they have a specific right to violence? I mean, are there someone once said there is such a thing as fighting words. Is that a legal term?
Yes, fighting words is a real legal term. The Supreme Court defined it as words that by their very utterance inflict injury or tend to incite an immediate breach of the peace. However, the doctrine has been narrowed a lot over time. Today, courts generally say that racial epithets, even the N word, do not legally count as fighting words that give someone the automatic right to respond with violence. The law does not recognize a special right for any group to physically attack someone just because they hear a racial slur. If someone hears a racial epithet and then punches the person who said it, that punch is still considered assault. The speaker's words, while offensive, don't legally justify the violence. That's the current legal reality, even if some people strongly disagree with it.
So, because what defenders of Chud the Builder will say is that he was using his First Amendment right, and he was using words to basically say, hey, people don't have the right to use violence just for words. And I can say what I want, and you can say what you want. You can use your words, but you cannot use physical violence or intimidation.
That's exactly the core of the argument his defenders are making. They'll say, words are not violence. The First Amendment protects offensive speech, even racial slurs. If someone can beat you up or shoot you simply because they don't like what you said, then free speech doesn't really exist. The flip side is that while the law technically agrees with that principle, in practice, a jury might still hold Chud's long history of deliberately provoking people against him. Legally, words aren't violence, but juries aren't robots. They often punish people they see as professional agitators, even if the law is on their side. So your defenders are correct on the legal principle, but it might not save him if the jury doesn't like the messenger.
Well, doesn't Chud the Builder get to pick a jury of his peers?
Conception. He gets to pick a jury of his peers, but legally that just means ordinary citizens from his community, not people who share his views or lifestyle. In Montgomery County, Tennessee, his peers are going to be regular local folks, many of them conservative, but also many who probably find what he does obnoxious and dangerous. A defense attorney would want people who strongly believe in free speech and gun rights, while the prosecutor will want people who hate professional provocateurs. So technically, yes, he gets a jury of his peers, But those peers aren't likely to be people who watch or support what he does for a living.
My question is, can you provoke? I mean, again, so words are not violence, and what has the gentleman who's been shot in the gut? Has he said anything regarding what happened? Has he made any statements?
I haven't seen any public statements from the shooting victim himself yet. The only direct account we've really heard from is Chud the Builder. He's claiming the man followed him, punched him first, and that he was acting in self-defense. The district attorney has pushed back on that version, but as of now, the victim hasn't come forward with his own side of the story. That could still change. Victims sometimes wait until they're out of the hospital or until they've spoken with prosecutors before making public statements. So far, though, he's been pretty quiet.
How badly was the person who Chud the Builder shot? How badly was he injured?
He was shot in the stomach. From what's been reported, the injury was serious enough to put him in the hospital, but not life-threatening. He was stable, alert, and even described as still being combative right after the shooting. That's actually a good sign. If he was up and fighting immediately after taking a gut shot, it suggests the bullet likely missed major organs and arteries. Both men were treated at the hospital, and Chud was arrested from there.
Still, a gut shot is still a serious matter, whether you're in stable condition or not. I mean, I don't know if he'll have to wear a colostomy bag or if it'll hurt. I don't know. I mean, I wonder what kind of injuries he sustained.
You're right, a gut shot is no joke, even if you're stable. Getting shot in the abdomen can cause serious internal damage. The bullet can hit your intestines, stomach, liver, or major blood vessels. A lot of times they have to do emergency surgery to repair the damage and clean out any fecal matter that leaks into the abdomen, which can cause major infections. Whether he ends up with a colostomy bag depends on exactly which part of the intestines was hit and how much damage there was. Some people get one temporarily, others permanently. We just don't have those medical details yet. The hospital isn't releasing that information.
And that's one of the things you should never, over pride or ego, you should never engage in violence because, again, you might not even die, but you might wish you were.
Exactly. That's the part a lot of people don't think about. A gut shot can leave you with lifelong complications, infections, multiple surgeries, digestive problems, chronic pain. Even if you survive, your quality of life can change permanently over one moment of anger. Pride and ego have ruined a lot of lives that way.
They sure have. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, kind of what else to think of it. I mean, I think he's rude, he's obnoxious. And
Yeah,
again,
that's the thing with Chud. A lot of people feel exactly like you do. They agree with the free speech principle, but they still think he's an obnoxious jerk who goes out of his way to be as inflammatory as possible. It makes it harder for people to defend him, even when they think the law is technically on his side. Being right and being likable aren't always the same thing.
I wonder how an attorney like Alan Dershowitz would handle the situation.
Dershowitz would hammer 2 points hard. First, that offensive speech, even racial slurs, is protected by the First Amendment and does not legally justify violence against the speaker. He'd argue the victim had no right to punch Chud no matter how angry the words made him. Second, he'd push self-defense aggressively, claiming Chud was walking away, got followed and attacked, and only fired after being hit. He'd try to get the jury focused on the moment of the punch, not Chud's history of provocation, but even Dershowitz would warn that the client's own behavior makes it an uphill battle. Juries don't like professional agitators, and that history could poison the well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could, but you still, again, you have the right to, like, to speak. And again, how far can that go? I mean, we have the First Amendment for a reason. Um, and it's not for speech you love, it's for speech that you hate. It's meant for, it's, it's meant to protect speech that is that people find disgusting. And it's not for the majority, it's for everybody.
Right on that principle. That's the classic defense of the First Amendment. It exists specifically to protect speech that offends, disgusts, or even angers people. Popular speech doesn't need protection. The real test of free speech isn't how we treat polite disagreement, it's how we treat people like Chud the Builder, who most people find repulsive. If the law only protects nice, reasonable speech, then it doesn't actually protect free speech at all. That's why this case is getting so much attention. It's forcing people to decide whether that principle still holds when the speaker is genuinely obnoxious.
So, as rude as he was, Chud the Builder was within the law. I'm thinking that everything he did was legal.
Yes, that's correct. What Chud was doing before the shooting, walking around saying racial slurs and offensive comments, is protected speech under the First Amendment. It's rude, it's obnoxious, and it's designed to provoke, but it's still legal. The moment the physical confrontation started is where it gets complicated. If he was attacked first, then shooting in self defense would also be legal. But that's exactly what the prosecution is disputing. So, up until the moment the fight broke out, yes, everything he was doing was legally protected.
I wonder what Van Jones would say about that.
Van Jones has been pretty consistent on this. He hates bigots and bullies, but he's said clearly, I don't want you to be safe ideologically, I want you to be strong. He'd probably say Chud's language is disgusting and meant to hurt people, but that doesn't give anyone the right to punch him or escalate to violence. He'd tell people to speak back, get stronger, and deal with it, not cry for protection from words they don't like. He's called that kind of thinking weak and dangerous for real life.
I guess, yeah, there are people, I mean, again, and some could say what he's doing is harassing people, verbally harassing people. But
Argument
again,
against him. Even though what he's saying is protected speech, there's a line between protected speech and harassment. If he's following specific people around, repeatedly targeting them, or creating a situation where they're basically trapped listening to him, prosecutors could argue it crosses into harassment or disorderly conduct. The key question is whether he was just saying offensive things in public or whether he was specifically targeting and pursuing individuals. That distinction matters a lot legally.
what is the evidence that he was doing that, or he was just on the street saying offensive things?
There's no evidence he was physically following or stalking this specific man. He was at the courthouse for his own civil court case that day. What happened is he saw the guy pointing and laughing at him, so he walked up to him and started talking. According to his own statement, the man warned him not to say any racial stuff or he'd hit him, then punched him anyway. So it wasn't random street speech. He chose to approach and engage. But there's no report that he was trailing the guy around or targeting him beforehand. It was more of an on-the-spot confrontation.
Well, what is the evidence that what he was doing? I mean, like, is it like, I mean, because I've seen a little bit of what he does, but is what he did, would that be considered harassment of Black people?
Not really. Harassment in Tennessee usually requires repeated unwanted contact with a specific person that has no legitimate purpose and is meant to annoy, alarm, or distress them, like non-stop calls, texts, or following one individual. What Chud does is more like being a public jerk. He walks around in public spaces saying slurs and provocative stuff to whoever's there, filming it for his audience. That's generally protected speech, even if it's disgusting. He does have a pending harassment case from November, but we don't know the details of that one yet. His style is rude and inflammatory, but it's not the classic legal definition of harassment against Black people as a group. It's more like targeted public provocation.
Yeah. Okay. So as the evidence starts to come out, and I guess he's a provocateur, but not a harasser. I guess that's what's being said. Anything
Pretty
before
much the current read on it. He's definitely a provocateur. He goes out with the specific goal of getting reactions, but so far there's no clear evidence he's harassing any specific individuals in the legal sense of repeatedly targeting and following one person. Being a professional troll is protected speech. Crossing into actual harassment is where it stops being protected. That's the line prosecutors would have to prove if they want to go that route.
Very well. So we'll go more into the case as it goes along. Grok, thank you for joining me. And this has been Transparency and Merit. And like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And also maybe like on my X page. I'm also on there as well. Thank you so much.
In the palace, shadows stand, Marcus with a thoughtful plan. Life is fleeting, moments spent, just a man. Pages filled with silent cries, wisdom in the ancient skies, eyes that see through countless lies, just a man. You're just a man under the sun, seeking peace before you're done. Rise each morn with a gentle hand, life we sculpt from shifting sand. In the garden calm he roams, meditates on broken bones, legacy in humble tones, just a man. Victory and glorious cheers, haunted still by daily fears, washing sins with silent tears, just a man. You're just a man under the sun, seeking peace before you're done. Rise each morn with a gentle hand, life we sculpt from shifting sand. Still by daily fears, washing sins with silent tears, just a man. You're just a man under the sun, seeking peace before you're done. Rise each morn with a gentle hand, life we sculpt from shifting sand.